I think they got a glass for you actually over there.
It's trying to reconnect.
Are we good on Periscope?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome into Outkick the Show. I'm Clay Travis, joined by NFL Hall of Famer Brett Favre. We're here at an awesome event. Tell people what you're here to do with Orca.
Well, I'm hoping to help sell product. We partnered up recently. This is my third time to be at the facility here, and I'm excited about it. It's a great opportunity to pitch another product.
You're a drinker. Does it keep your beer cold?
I'm not.
You stopped drinking completely?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a drinker to live, but not alcohol.
Yeah. When did you stop?
98.
Why did you stop?
I drank too much.
Like, did you know you had a problem for a long time before you stopped in 98?
No,
What made you stop?
No, I had it all figured out. Much like other people in that situation, I didn't drink all the time, so I was like, I don't have a problem.
Right, but when you went out, you
when I went out, when I drank, one beer was not worth it.
Right.
I drank as many as I could. And so
during the season, like all year round, like how would you do it?
I mean, I could control it up to a point, and when I decided to go out or drink beer, it was not one and done. It was how many beers can I drink in 18 holes.
What was the most you ever drank on 18 holes? Do you remember?
I don't know. Probably drank more than that. Had birdies, I can assure you that. But I haven't had a drink since '98.
Was that like part of the Green Bay culture? Because when I think of Wisconsin, I think like you drink a lot.
I don't know about. I mean, it'd be easy to say you drink a lot, but I think that's a little bit unfair.
Yeah.
New Orleans Mardi Gras would be a lot.
Yeah.
But it's part of the deal. Cheese curds and beer and Packer football.
Did you watch the Packers play last night?
I didn't.
Do you still watch them now? Like, how often would you watch?
I had planned on watching some last night. I thought we had a surprise birthday party for a friend of ours at our house, and so I thought maybe I'd catch the second half.
Yeah.
But it ran a little bit longer, and actually when we were done, it was like midnight. And so I just went to bed.
Do you get nervous? Like, do you still care when you watch a game, whether it's Southern Miss, whether it's Green Bay, high school team you might care about? Do you get drawn into football as a fan at all now?
No, I don't. One of the great things about watching or being involved, whether it be directly or indirectly now, is I won't say I don't care who wins and loses. Like Southern Miss is where I went to school, and we try to make as many games. I want them to win.
Right.
Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, but I really want them to win. But if they lose on the last second turnover, I'm disappointed, but I sleep okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
When I played, and I was the reason we lost, I didn't sleep very well. And winning and losing was really the only thing, even though there was more to life than that. You get so caught up in it, and the stress to not lose and to perform at a high level is a huge relief off my back now that I've left the game. I don't miss 3rd and 15 in crunch time at all. Up 35-0, you're playing great.
Yeah.
Those are easy. So I don't miss the stress at all. So when I watch games, there's some I have more of a vested interest in than maybe others, but still there's this relief of not being directly involved.
One of the fascinating things about your career is you played wishbone quarterback in high school. And I think you starting in 8th grade. So you played 5 years of high school football. Your dad was so committed to the wishbone offense that he wouldn't run an offense to allow you to throw. Did you ever lobby him? I mean, you'd have games where you'd throw the ball 4 or 5 times. And I think as a result, right, you only got one scholarship offer, and it was to play DB at Southern Miss, right?
That's true. Yeah, I lobbied all the time.
And what did
no avail. I often thought that my dad chose to run that offense.
Just to spite you?
Yeah. I think more so to dispel any thoughts that others may have had that he was showcasing his son's talents.
Right. Tougher on you as the coach's son than he would have been on other people.
And I think I probably would be partly accurate there, that he was not going to go over and beyond, not that he ever would have anyway, because he had 3 boys. I was the middle. All 3 played quarterback for him. My older brother actually threw the ball a lot more than I did, so I know that wasn't exactly
right
the reason. But I think that the harder I lobbied, the more he dug his heels in and said, "I'm not going to do it."
So if you'd gone to Southern Miss and never tried to play quarterback, what's the rest of your life like?
I probably would be coaching.
In college, high school?
Well, I would have started out in high school like my dad. That's I think we have a tendency to resort to what our parents have done,
right?
At least initially. And so I was going to be a teacher and a coach because that's what I knew. And I wasn't a farmer because I didn't grow up around the farm. So that's probably at what level? I have no idea.
When did you realize, holy hell, I'm pretty good at playing quarterback? I mean, if you were a wishbone quarterback, you had to get to college and have no basis on understanding like terminology, anything, right? I mean, I think I read you were 7th string when you got to Southern Miss.
7th
on the depth chart.
Of 7.
7th on the depth chart.
Yeah.
And so, at what point did you start to realize, you know what, I can move this around a little bit better?
This sounds crazy, but I thought I was pretty good before I left high school.
Yeah.
But
you had no basis for that because you hardly threw the ball at all.
The only thing I had basis on was I knew I could. Not that this is any reason to sign someone or to offer a scholarship or any reason to run around town saying I'm the best. But there was no one could outthrow me.
In terms of distance.
How
far could you throw a football at your peak?
83.
83 yards in the air.
Now, if you ever have to throw that in a game, it's usually you're down and it's a Hail Mary. So it's never a good thing. But I knew I had something that was different than most people. To me, and baseball and football were equally as important to me. And if I had to pick one, it would have been baseball.
How hard could you throw a baseball?
I was in the 90s.
Would you have control too as a pitcher and stuff like that?
Sometimes. Sometimes. And if you were batting against me, you really hoped I had control.
Right. That's kind of a weapon.
So, it was a weapon. I like to tell people that was part of my strategy.
Yeah. Occasionally
some days I was on.
Yeah.
Realistically, it's just some days I was on, some days I was off. But yeah, I knew I had something that other guys didn't, baseball or football. And yeah, I didn't have a volume of work in which to base it off of. But but from it'd be like if you think about basketball, maybe you never played an organized game, but you could dunk it.
Right. You knew you had the athleticism that most people didn't
everyone
have.
comes to see that.
Yes.
You may not be able to make a free throw or a jump shot for nothing.
Right.
But you had something that kind of attracted everyone to come see you. And I knew I had that. So when I got to college, it's been a long time.
7th string.
7th string. I was last on the totem pole. But when I got an opportunity, which was very rare, I probably spent the first 2 weeks more as a defensive back than a quarterback. But on occasion, they would throw me in to give the first string defense a look.
Right.
And in that situation, the plays really don't matter. It's drop back, throw it to this guy, drop back, do it. Well, I would drop back and
wing it.
I would buy a little time. I'd scramble around and piss guys off because, hey man, you're giving us a look.
Right.
So I knew that I wasn't
was your
the smartest.
opportunity.
It was my opportunity. It may be 3 plays, maybe 1.
Yeah.
It was about making the most of that opportunity, and so. Realistically, you don't run around throwing 70 yards in the first quarter.
Right.
Maybe at the end of the game. But for me, I did that because I knew that
they'd see your arm.
They were like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. And it just sort of propelled me further and further up the ladder.
Yeah.
To a point where let's just see what this guy can do.
How soon did you actually get to go in a game?
The first game of my true freshman year, we played at Alabama. They were the previous year's national champions. They had Derek Thomas was one outside linebacker, and they had a guy named Broderick Thomas who was the other. Both were tremendous players in the National Football League, and a host of other guys. And I wanted to play so bad. I was third on the depth chart. I was 17 years old, and when we were down 38-0, I was thinking, I hope they don't put me in.
Yeah.
We were getting killed. But the next week we played Tulane at home, and midway, probably 2-3 minutes into the third quarter, I went in, and we were down by 17 points, and brought them back from behind, and I thought, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And the rest was history. So I made my first start the following week against Texas A&M. They were third in the country. We played them close. And then the following game after that, we played the number one team in the country in Hattiesburg, which was Florida State, for our homecoming. And I turned 18 that day, and we lost 60-something to 7.
Wow.
Something close like that.
When did you start to think, you know what, I could have a career in the NFL? Did you might have thought?
Well, I always thought, I always knew that's what I wanted.
Right, but when did you start thinking that's a legitimate
I'd say
possibility?
probably somewhere in my sophomore year, I thought maybe.
This is something I can do.
You know, had you asked me my freshman year, I was, even prior to playing, if I had a career in professional football, I said, yeah, I just need an opportunity.
Right.
But I really didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I knew. But I'd say somewhere during my sophomore years when I started throwing, and not like just 70-yard bombs running around.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more, you know, thorough and following a plan in touch as well as velocity.
When did you learn terminology? Because if you run the wishbone offense, you're not necessarily.
Well, I
film.
would say once I got to Green Bay, which is kind of amazing because I started off.
So you got drafted 4 years in college, then you got drafted, went to the Falcons, and then you get to Green Bay.
Yeah, because 4 years in college, and not a. Now keep in mind this was way before spread offenses anyway, but it was not a pass like BYU, for example. I told the story of Ty Detmer. That was about the same time as me. He threw for 120 touchdowns in his career. I threw for 50.
Right.
He threw 4 or 5 wide receivers. We had 1 or maybe 2 going out. So the terminology was more run oriented.
Right.
Now, when I was drafted by Atlanta, I got there. They passed a lot, but it was not a NFL necessarily based pass. It was run and shoot, which was kind of an in and out fad, if you will.
Yeah.
It was good for 3-4 years. So the terminology there did mean nothing.
Similar to the typical pro-style offense in the NFL.
Yeah. There was no reading necessarily or changing of plays.
Right.
It was kind of what you see is what you get. Not that it was easy. So when I got to Green Bay, the West Coast offense, which is still run to a certain degree today, the terminology was it was like learning a new language. But once I was in it for 17, 18 years. Once I learned it, then
second nature.
It made perfect sense to me. But it took a while. It probably took 3 or 4 years before it made sense. I mean, I was able to call, run the play, but it didn't really make sense what I was doing until about 4 years into it.
I remember hearing somewhere where you didn't know what nickel and dime meant for a while in your career.
Probably 4 or 5 years.
Into college or into the NFL?
No, in the NFL.
So you didn't know when somebody said like nickel and dime, you were like,
I really didn't care.
Really?
I mean,
yeah.
There's 11.
Yeah.
All I wanted to know was, is there 11?
Right.
And when they said, yeah, I go,
that's all right. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, I don't need to know if one's bigger than the other.
When you were a senior in college, you had a really bad traffic accident.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, what do you remember about that accident?
Well, I realized as I was flipping.
The car flipped how many times?
I don't know, but my brother was following right behind me. We were actually half a mile from my home.
Were you driving fast? What happened?
I wasn't driving. No, I wasn't driving fast. I wouldn't say.
You just lost control of the car.
Lost control of the car.
Flipped multiple times.
And back then, the road was somewhat gravel.
Yeah.
With a big shoulder. And I was 17. No, I was probably 18. Maybe 17, 18, 19, somewhere like that. But when you have kids and they start driving,
terrifies you.
Yeah.
Because you're going out
because
you were. I always say there's never been a girl who died and the 2 words before she died were "watch this." Right? For boys, like they're always doing crazy ass stupid stuff.
Yeah, and so it's been a long time, but yeah, I mean, I surely wasn't. If the speed limit was 40, maybe I was doing 50. I don't know, but I ran off the road and tried to jerk back. I do remember which was probably the first thing I did wrong. Was
try to get back into the road.
Yeah, and panicked, and I just remember started flipping. And the next thing I know is my brother had taken a golf club and broke the window to get me out. The car was up on its side, and I do remember vividly asking him if I was in a plane crash because I remember going into the trees, and he said, "No, you were in a car wreck." And my back and my side was hurting so bad.
Worse than it ever hurt on a football field?
Oh, way more. Well, come to find out I had fractured vertebrae in my back, and ultimately I lost 35 inches of my intestines, which at the time I just knew my side hurt.
Yeah. Wow.
So 2 weeks later, I ended up having surgery to remove the intestines that had died, basically, from my whole side. Not initially, but after a couple of days, it was black and blue. And this was July 14th, somewhere like that. August 8th was the surgery.
Yeah.
And then September 8th was when I played against Alabama.
You played against Alabama.
And we beat them. It wasn't. I'd like to say it was because I had an astronomical game. I probably threw for 120 yards.
Right.
But I think from a leadership standpoint and motivation, playing probably helped, rally the troops.
What do you think about the protests? Like when you watch it, you always stood, I imagine, for the national anthem.
Yeah.
What do you think about guys making the decision not to? Would you have ever not stood for the national
Well,
anthem?
it's hard for me to say. I mean, I would say no. I would stand and put my hand over my heart like it's always been done.
Yeah.
But, as we sit here and talk, if you turn these cameras off, we may have a different opinion.
Right.
And so, do you go with popularity or the most intriguing choice at that particular time? Like for me, I to answer the question, I don't know, but I think my thought is, and I said this earlier to the group, this is a great time for the NFL because I feel like, I'm almost certain that this is divided rather than united.
100% sure.
And isn't this about uniting this protest, if you will? It's about equality, but also uniting everyone for the right causes. But yet it hasn't done that. People are not going to games as much as they did. People are not watching as much as they did. Some people are turned off. Some people are turned on. So, and my thoughts are, a lot of these guys now, do they really know what they're
protesting?
Yeah, or is it
there's so many different things that guys are protesting now.
So why not, from an NFL standpoint, take the lead? You have breast cancer awareness month. Guys wearing pink towels, pink shoes, whatever. Maybe you take the stand and you stop all this, but continue it, if that makes sense. And I just think that too many people, black, white, Hispanic, you name it, have died in battle for us to sit here and do exactly what we're doing right now.
Right.
Or to take a knee, to stand, turn your back, whatever you want to do. You have that freedom. But I think we should honor them, because it is a wonderful country. and then collectively figure out a plan on how to raise awareness. Because I don't think anything, honestly, is going to come of this in a good way unless we resolute this somehow.
Yeah.
But I just don't see where, if it stays the way it is, that it's going to end good.
Because it's just dividing people.
It's good, and it's just, it's kind of like, they're doing it, I'll do it. You
Right.
know, I don't know what necessarily I'm doing it for. So again, I think the NFL should take the lead, and more than likely will, or the owners will, as maybe attendance starts. It's cool to unite and lock arms, but when you start losing revenue,
Yeah.
if you're an owner, you may take notice.
Because Aaron Rodgers said for the fans to all do it at Green Bay, and last night the fans were certainly not doing it. I mean, I think a lot of fans have felt alienated by the way that the players have responded.
And they should. You pay a lot of money to go watch a game.
Right.
And you have players now who are trying to direct the fans in a way that they don't want to be directed. They want to just watch the game.
Right.
They want to enjoy their season ticket and watch a Bear-Pack rivalry like they've always done.
Have a beer, watch a game,
Yeah,
and forget about serious things.
Yeah, and I can see where it turns people off. And I don't think players should necessarily take the political stance. Sometimes you have to, and maybe there's some people better suited for it, but really we're just athletes.
Right.
And it's a lot of times.
You didn't spend a lot of time worried about the political process.
Well, a lot of times it's best to it's hard enough to play.
Right.
And study and prepare and be good week in, week out, to worry about, your political.
You don't have a lot of thoughts about North Korea necessarily while you're trying to get ready for the Packers.
If you do, it's gonna, you're not gonna play very well against the Bears. But yeah, I think what's gotten lost is what's most important, and it's confusing to a lot of people, and they just want to watch a game.
When's the last time you talked to Aaron Rodgers?
I think last year at the Hall of Fame game.
You guys ever text? Do you have any kind of relationship?
No.
Do you root for him, against him? Like, is he just a guy to you?
I kind of like to see the Packers do well.
Yeah.
Which is not hard to do. They seem to be doing
pretty well
all the time. And I think he's the complete package. He's the best quarterback out there who can do. Tom Brady can't move like him. Tom Brady's great. I'd take him in a heartbit.
Yeah.
He can't do what Aaron
Rodgers
can do.
can do.
Now Tom can win and win the big one, so he gets the last laugh.
When did you know Aaron was good? You said yourself.
Well, when
you
we
were
drafted him,
7th
I knew he was good.
Good at Cal, but start to realize this guy could be pretty
Well,
good.
he had a great arm. He's the only guy that I've ever could say that had a comparable arm
To you.
to me.
Yeah.
And whether I played with or against or just watched in general, he's the only guy.
Well, I know how busy you are. I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
You were great. It was outstanding. It was a
Well,
lot of
thank
fun.
you. Hopefully are we trying to sell something here?
Well, we started with this, but you're trying to sell some.
We're trying to promote this podcast here?
Yeah, this is Outkick the Coverage.
Are you trying to actually get a microphone and stuff?
I think they can hear, although they might have been complaining. No, this is awesome. I need to get you on the radio show at some point, too. You'd be fantastic. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. That was awesome.